Mike's talk today will be on the Texas Rangers, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Information and history about the oldest and most famous law enforcement agency in the world. But Mike Cook is a lifetime director of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo and a past chairman of the Speakers Committee. He's been on several committees since 1979, including the Corral Club Committee, the Swine Auction Committee, and the Speakers Committee, which he still serves on today. Mike likes to give talks about the history of the cowboy, his equipment, and how the history helped with the founding of the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, one of the largest donors of scholarships in Texas and in the United States. He's one of 34,000 volunteers who helped put on the world's largest livestock show and rodeo. Like many volunteers at the stock show, he has a full-time job. He works as a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. He's been in that business for over 50 years. He's certified as a financial planner and an investment management analyst. Morgan Stanley, as a corporate contributor, has given a scholarship each year since 2015. In December 2019, Mike was elected to the board of the Texas Ranger Association Foundation. The foundation's goal is to support active and retired Texas Rangers and immediate family members through scholarships, financial assistance, and operational support in service to the citizens of Texas. After a week at the office, he enjoys visiting his ranch in Austin County on the Brazos River, where he keeps his horses, raises pecans, and hunts pigs. He enjoys giving these talks for business groups and schools, and I'm going to post on chat how he can be reached if anyone's interested. And I'd like to introduce Mike Cook.
All right, so here we are in Mike's COVID headquarters, which is really his house. And he's got a really nice setup here with a nice pool. And this is where he's been in the last 6 months. And here's Mike Cook.
Thank you. You know, they claim that that's part of every speech is dual. So I tried to visualize what a Texas Ranger should look like. And of course, Vanu and Elsie here are in the peanut gallery, and they're helping me. He's the visual expert. But I'm going to go over some things today about the Texas Rangers. Some of them you'll know, and some of them you might not know. The first part, and if you've been to my ranch, about a mile down from my ranch is where San Felipe is. And San Felipe is where the Austin started Texas. And when Austin started Texas, I think I'm going to take my mask off just to make sure that you can hear me okay. And then I'm going to tell you the story about this mask in a minute. But Sam Houston, when he was, Stephen F. Austin, when he was there was problems down there with these people, with the Indians. And the Indians, the Comanche Indians, controlled the frontier. And so to protect the settlers, there were about 700 settlers in 1823. To protect the settlers, Stephen F. Austin, he founded the Texas Rangers. And what they were called Rangers for is they would range that territory protecting the settlers. And he actually started that. We are now the oldest, the Texas Rangers, the oldest, and what they say is the most storied, meaning there are more stories about the Texas Rangers than any other organization in the world. So none of this could happen. I gave this talk at the Gun Club, actually in March this year. I was the last talk at the Gun Club before we shut down for COVID. So I know this, I think it's interesting, and I hope you'll enjoy it. But I'm going to go over really what made it the ability of Texas to be settled and how it all happened. So there's a man named Samuel Colt, and Samuel Colt was from an industrial family up north, and what he did, his dad, they had the money he could go around. His dad sent him to India on a steamship, paddle wheelers, what they call it. Now, I know our club has some older people, and there's probably some people in our club that are old enough to remember paddle wheelers. Anyway, what he saw on the back of that paddle wheeler is the wheel going round and round, and that's where he developed the cylinder on this gun. This is called an 1836 Patterson, and the 1836 Patterson was amazing. It was like the atomic bomb when it came out, because at that point in time, the settlers had a single-shot rifle and a single-shot pistol that it took some number of minutes to put a ball down, put powder in, and to shoot it. And so what the Indians had a habit of doing, and this is why they were in control, is when the Texans were attacked, they would fire that gun one time. The Indians, once that thing went off, once that gun went off, they could shoot 12 arrows before a settler could reload his single-shot rifle or pistol. In 1842, this pistol hit Texas. It was, again, developed in 1835, patented in 1836, and in 1842, on the Pedernales River, a man, a Texas Ranger named Jack Coffee Hayes, equipped 15 Rangers with 2 of these pistols. They were attacked by about 125 Indians. The Indians, of course, did what they normally did after the Rangers fired once. All of the Indians rushed them, but they got a surprise because each Ranger had 2 of these pistols. They had 10 shots plus their rifle. They devastated the Indians, and without that one event, the Texas could not have been settled because the Indians controlled Texas. So anyway, this gun is called the Hartford Colt. Colt developed it. It was made in Hartford, Connecticut, and that was the beginning of the whole thing with Texas being settled. Now, one of the men that was in this fight was a man named Sam Walker, and Sam Walker wanted an improvement. So he went to see Colt, and he developed what they now call the Colt Walker. And Elsie was over here earlier, and she can attest to the fact of how heavy this is. This is about an 8-pound pistol. What's interesting about this is a 44 caliber. If you look how long the cylinder is, that was full of powder. When this thing shot, it had the power. It actually, today you can reload one. This is just a reproduction, but you can shoot it, and it has the force of a .357 Magnum pistol, to give you an idea of, was it serious? Yes, it was serious. And could it kill? And yes, it could kill. And it was an amazing piece. Well, in 1847, which was again a few years later, this gun was out. Actually, it came out in about 1845. But we had a war with Mexico, if you'll remember that. And the people that led the war with Mexico were not a military force. They were paramilitary, and they were called the Texas Rangers. And when the Texas Rangers went into Mexico, they each carried 2 of these. They got the reputation because they were so, how can I say it, they were good at what they did. They became known as Los Diablos. Here, I'm going to make sure I know this word. Yeah, Los Diablos Tejanos. So I don't speak Spanish that well, but I think that means the Texas Devils. We're going to fast forward a little bit. In 1874, the most famous, I guess, part of the Texas Ranger was called the Frontier Battalion, and they had to control the border with Mexico. It was not too dissimilar from what we have today in that people would cross, they would do crimes, they would go back. So that problem has been with us for years, and there were quite a few Rangers that made their name in that day and time by protecting us on the border with Mexico. Bill McDonald, who was a Ranger in 1890, and if you're looking at my banner down here, and a lot of you have heard this term, Bill McDonald was called to El Paso. They were going to have a prize fight. and they needed help because there was going to be a riot. And when Bill McDonald got there, he got off the train. The people of El Paso, the mayor and everybody went out to meet him. And when he stepped down off the train, they looked around and they said, "Where's the rest of your help?" And he said, "There's only one riot. You'll only need one ranger." And that became famous because he did control that crowd. He did control the riot. And again, a part of the Texas history. In 1934, you may remember this actually, there was a ranger who hunted down Bonnie and Clyde. His name was Frank Hamer. And you should read that book. It's a very interesting book about what Frank did. But no one could catch Bonnie and Clyde. They killed quite a few policemen. They bailed one of their friends out of a prison camp. They had the fastest car around. It was a Ford 1934. They had machine guns. They were ruthless. Anyway, they had to find a Texas Ranger. He hunted them until he found them. He actually found them in Louisiana, and he killed them. So after that, the Texas Senate formed a committee to investigate crime and law enforcement in the state. In 1935, the solution was what we now know as the Department of Public Safety. That started again in that time. They started with 36 Rangers, and that was really the start of what we call the modern era of the Department of Public Safety. And even today, the Texas Rangers are a part of the Department of Public Safety. The pistol and the gun, I mean, the guns that they were issued a Colt 45 and a lever action Winchester. If you're following along with me, these guns you'll see are changing. This gun actually this is the 1873 Colt 45. This particular model is a 7.5-inch barrel. This is the pistol that was given to our Army starting in the 1870s. This pistol is still made today. It shoots very good today. I've got a number of these, and I'll tell you it's quite accurate and it's quite deadly. And this is the pistol that, again, they started with back in the early part of the Texas Rangers. Now the Texas Rangers can carry anything they want, but they are issued a SIG pistol. But a lot of Rangers don't like that. A lot of Rangers are kind of like me. They like the history. And so they like to carry a Colt 45 automatic. This is a Colt 45 automatic that I carry. And if you can see this, which I think you can, is this on the, can you see that on the screen?
Yeah.
That's,
when you have it, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that has my name on it and a Texas Ranger badge, but these are very good. The reason people like a 45 automatic is preferred to a 9mm or anything else is a 45 automatic has knockdown power. If you get hit in the hand with a 45 automatic at fairly close range, it will knock you down. So that's the reason people carry that. In World War II, the Rangers were again, remember we have a big border with Mexico. If you remember the history book of the Mexican people in World War I and World War II, they favored the Germans at some point. We were worried about that. So again, we had to control the border, and the Texas Rangers did that. But after the war, in September at the end of the war, 1944, after patrolling our border successfully, the force again was increased to 103 Rangers with companies A through F. Today, if you want to be a Texas Ranger, you must come from the Department of Public Safety. That's called the Highway Patrol now. And you have to do a competitive exam, oral interview. There's about 200 DPS officers every year that apply to be a Texas Ranger. They only take a few of those. Today, there are 164 Rangers in the state. We are in Company A, which is the company, there's a headquarters company, which is in Austin. That's the guy who runs everything, is the chief. There's an assistant chief, 2 majors, and 3 captains in Austin. Company A in Houston has a major and over 30 rangers. Company B is Garland, which is Dallas. Company C is in Lubbock. Company D is in McAllen. Company E is in El Paso. And Company F is in Waco. About Company A. Company A encompasses a 35-county area bounded in the east by Louisiana, in the south by the Texas Gulf Coast, and the north by companies F and B. This includes, of course, the Houston metropolitan area. So normally when I give this talk, and I did at the gun club, I took a ranger from Company A with me, and he could tell some things that he was doing. The rangers today are more of an investigative force. If you ever watch TV and there's some investigation going on, what you're going to notice in the background, never in the foreground, you'll see a guy standing there. He's either got a white shirt, a white cowboy hat, jeans, or slacks, and they don't introduce him. And he's there as an investigator. There are investigators with the rangers that do gun violence. They do domestic violence. They do what I call blue-collar crime. They have a technicality for each and every. Some people are snipers. The Texas Rangers are probably the most sophisticated force now that we know of. They have a drone, they told me about, that it can read a license plate at a half a mile away. So they've got a lot of technology that they have come up with that makes them the premier force. They do coordinate with the FBI, and when the FBI, this is happening, I know it well, when the FBI has a case in Texas, a lot of times they'll call the Rangers because the Rangers are local and they don't know exactly what's going on there. I became very interested in the Texas Rangers, I guess in the 80s. A friend of mine asked me, he said, "Hey, Mike, I would like for you to join this organization." And I said, "What is it?" And he said, "It's an organization that supports the Texas Rangers. It's the Texas Ranger Association Foundation." And I said, "Well, what do they do?" And he said, "Well, we help the Texas Rangers." Well, that's all I had to know. I wrote him a check and I said, "Man, I'm into that. The Texas Rangers are, you know, the most premier force in the world. I want to help them." So I started again in 1982 with that. And then a couple of years ago, a friend of mine walked in my office and I had a plaque up there where I donated money to that organization. He said, "Mike, you need to get involved in this again." And actually, I'm a lifetime director of the Livestock Show, and this speech is for the Livestock Show. But the truth is, I don't have to do a lot at the Livestock Show like I used to. So now I'm sort of moving over to the Rangers. And the goal of our foundation is to support the Texas Rangers with any need they have, including their children. So we have a scholarship program where we send a Texas Rangers child to college. We guarantee that for them. We had a ranger involved in the flood in 2016. He had an issue with his house that the insurance didn't cover. We helped him with that. There was a ranger that needed a special needs van. We helped him with that. So anything that the Texas Rangers need, we help them with. Our organization has funded 1,500 scholarships to the tune of $2.5 million. And since 2005 has given over $500,000 to Rangers for any need that they need, both current Rangers and past Rangers. So if you're looking at my banner down here, if you can see it, it says the Texas Ranger Foundation 1823 to 2023. So 2023 is going to be the 200-year anniversary of the Texas Rangers. It is going to be statewide and it's going to be nationwide, and you're going to hear a lot more about it from me as we go forward. I am on one of the committees that is going to help bring that to Texas, bring the Texas Rangers to the forefront, and to make sure that everybody in the world who doesn't know about the Rangers will know about the Rangers. So that's part of the tomorrow talk, is what's going to happen tomorrow. Be aware of this with me. If you have seen, and this is not a political statement, but it's an observation, if you've seen what's going on in America today, there's a big movement to defund police. So I think for me, it's a very big time for me to support the Rangers, because they are a part of the Department of Public Safety. They're not controlled by politicians per se, and it's likely they will not be defunded. But to get them guns, ammunition, technology, and everything like that, that's what the organization that I belong to does. I was having lunch with some Rangers, and this has been now 4 or 5 months ago, and I was sitting there, and that's when the masks were really coming out. You had to have a mask, and I noticed none of the Rangers had the same mask on, and I asked them, I said, hey, why don't y'all have the same mask? Did y'all get supplied with a mask? And they said, no, they didn't supply us with a mask. And I said, man, that's kind of strange. So I came back to my office. I had my intern. If you've seen these pictures on TV, our police chief, Art Acevedo, he wears a mask. So my intern found the people that make this mask. It's pre-bill mask here in Houston, Texas. And I called the guy and I said, hey, y'all made that for the, police. Would you make some for the Texas Rangers? And the guy said, yeah, I'll help you with that. And here's the story. I call this a battle-tested mask. It's not, in a lot of ways, it's not anything special. It's 2-layer. They can make it in 3-layer. It comes up under your nose. It's what I call a standard mask. And when I say battle-tested, what I am telling you is that Art Acevedo had one of these on when what the Democrats called a peaceful demonstration downtown. We called it a riot. When he had that on and was in the mix with all of the people downtown, he did not get COVID-19. All he wore was this mask right here. So I went to the Rangers and I said to them, hey, I noticed that my guys in Company A here in Houston, they don't have a mask. There's not a standard mask. I said, look, I've seen this mask. I looked at it. I had a couple of them made as samples. In fact, I've got a stack in here in my room of 100 different masks from different places. And I looked at them. Hey, what does it take for a good mask? Anyway, Prevail Mask made these. I called the foundation and I said to them, look, I think I want to give every Texas Ranger a mask. And they kind of looked at me like, well, okay, Mike, you're a director now, just do it. And I said, well, how do I do funding and, what do I do? They said, you're a director now, you just figure it out. So I called my buddies and I said to them the same story. I said, do you want to help the Texas Rangers? And I had 5 or 6 of my buddies say, we'll help. And I said, okay, send me a check. So I ordered 250 of these masks. And I have now had a mask just exactly like this on the Texas. I've got about 90% of the Texas Rangers covered, plus their staff. And then, remember, I'm in the money business and, I want things to be profitable. So then what we did, I said, look, I'm going to have some extra masks and I want people to help me support the Rangers. So we have an offer, and I put it out, that you can give the Texas Ranger Association Foundation $100. I'll send you 2 of these masks. And what you're doing is you're helping support the Texas Rangers. It's tax deductible. And then you get a mask just like Art Acevedo wears, police wear, and the Texas Rangers now wear due to my work. Now, here's the strange part of this story. After doing this, we checked the books, and I've been doing this now for 2 months, and I've made about a $10,000 profit for my organization selling these. I mean, if I'd have told somebody, look, I'm going to develop masks and make some money out of it, they would have probably told me I was crazy. But anyway, they come this way. So if you want to support this, get a hold of me. I'll show you how to write the check. They come in a sealed container. We're going to do away with these masks when I'm sure COVID goes away someday, but they're going to be a collectible. And on the other one side, it has our logo. On the other side, it has the 200th anniversary logo, which again, we're going to celebrate in 2023 coming up. So that's the majority of my talk today. I don't know. If you become, again, for $100, you can get these 2 masks. If you want to be a benefactor, you get a plaque like this, and you get a bumper sticker. Now, where do you think the head of the Texas Highway Patrol came from? He came from the Texas Rangers. Do you think he would recognize that sticker on the back of your car? I think he would. And I know him. He's about my height. Really nice guy. Anyway, then this is another thing you get. If you noticed, and I hadn't gotten into this, and this is, I guess, the closing part. If you remember Lonesome Dove, there was on Lonesome Dove, there was Augustus McCrae was the ranger. This is the badge. Actually, I found the guy that made the badge for the movie, and he made me one just to show people. This is an interesting discussion also. This comes starting in 1962 from the Cinco Peso. That's a 5 peso piece that's 90% silver, and all the Rangers wear this. He could wear this in the movie because it has his name, and it just says Ranger in Texas, Texas Ranger. Legally, you can wear one of these. You cannot wear one that says Department of Public Safety, Texas Rangers. Only, these are very collectible. So a lot of people would like to have a Ranger badge. They legally can have this, but they cannot have one that says Department of Public Safety on it. You do get, if you decided to become a benefactor, for a $1,000 tax deductible donation, you get a plaque like this, you get that bumper sticker, and you get a badge that says Texas Ranger. And where the Texas Rangers all wear their badge is over their heart. So this just says Texas Rangers on it. It does not say Department of Public Safety. It's a gold badge that shows people wherever I go that I am a benefactor of the Texas Ranger Association Foundation. So I think I'm probably near the end. I don't know. Do I answer questions or?
Yeah.
I do have a book list. If anybody wants to know where this information comes from, this is my book list right here. And I've got that in print. I can send you a copy of the speech with the book list on it. But if you want to read about the Texas Rangers, I would urge you to get one of these.
Yeah, we probably have a couple of minutes for questions.
Okay.
Mike,
Bill,
I have Bill.
Well, I just wanted Mike, somebody asked where they could send a contribution towards a Ranger mask.
So give me a call, and I'll give you the information. It goes, our main office is in Waco, and again, it's tax deductible. You can send them a check, or you call them on the phone and give them a credit card. So anybody that wants that information, just please contact me, and I'll send it to you directly.
Mike?
Yeah.
Wayne Topper. A little trivia for you. My next door neighbor was a Texas Ranger here in Spring Branch. He is the one, Skippy Rundell, who closed down Galveston when all the gambling was going on. And luckily enough, he had given me or loaned to me one of his guns that in case anything happened around his house, he would call me. Well, he was out of town and something was going strange around his house. He called, he said, Wayne, go out, it was nighttime, and check on my wife, Mabel, to make sure nobody was around the house. And he finally got moved to Austin and was head of the Texas Rangers at one time. His name was Skippy Rundell.
Neat.
Cool.
Thank you for sharing that.
Do we have any other questions?
Do the drawing.
I think I heard Jim mumble something.
Wake Jim up.
Yeah.
Waiting for the drawing.
Yeah. Well, we're about to.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. Wake Jim up. He came for something else.
Well, two things. Mike, thank you so much for, that's Mike Cook, by the way, not Mike Gibson. Mike Cook, who provided that wonderful presentation about the Texas Rangers. Mike, thank you for that. One thing Sheila did not indicate is that Mike is a loyal Sam Houston State University Bearcat.
Yes.
I thought I'd get that in there. And but thank you for
Hey, Bill, a lot of the Texas Rangers study at Sam Houston State because they have the best criminal justice school in the nation. In fact, one of our lady Rangers, Wendy Wakeman, just got out of college. She went there, and then she moved from being a lieutenant. Now she's a captain in the Texas Rangers. So just to make this point, we have a diverse organization with women and everybody in the world that you would see in Houston. They can be a Ranger.
Well said. Thank you, Mike, for that wonderful presentation. And we've got your number where we can get a mask and also become a benefactor. So
yes, sir.
Thank you for that. And thank you, Vanu, for making the presentation possible with your expertise as well.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.